Ready?
Ready.
What are your tips for saving and planning for trips on a budget?
Now, at the brink of the off-season and the season is where the tickets are the cheapest.
Let's say you're a bougie girl. What do you call it? Ponchu?
Mucho. Consistency counts, and it truly does matter.
Sometimes self-care could literally be just sitting completely alone.
Except that there will be glitches here and there.
So if you want to feel sad and hide in a dark room and cry it out, do it. You've seen me in the middle of the restaurant. You're like, stop crying. I'm like, I should feel my feelings. What tips do you have for new mothers?
Oh, that's an interesting one. Takes me back to when Joe was a little baby. Yeah.
You keep telling me to have a grandchild for you. So I'm like, give me all the tips and share them with everyone.
No matter how many tips you have.
It's purely because we had a good time and we're having fun. So why not? Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Press Pause with Jouhayna, where we answer questions that you sent us. I would also like to take a moment to thank you for sending all the questions that you did. We selected only 10, and this episode is the final 4 questions that we decided to answer. Ready?
Ready.
Dear Jouhayna, I want to travel more this year, but my finances are tight. What are your tips for saving and planning for trips on a budget?
We all want to do that.
Yeah.
All of us, we share that globally. Trust me.
Fear of travel.
Unless, you have a fear of travel, but even that can be combated. Travel doesn't mean you fly.
True.
Okay, you just start with small staycations. If you feel you don't have the funds for everything, start with small staycations, get into the mood of things and try and save meanwhile. And of course, there always are offers and, discounts throughout the year. More so towards the end of the year. So plan for next year. At the end of this year, the following year, at the end of this year. So that's the way I normally do it. And then, of course, there are seasons of travel depending on your destination. So I cannot generally tell you, okay, do this, do that. But it depends on your destination, where you're going to go. And every destination has a season and an off-season. Now, at the brink of the off-season and the season is where the tickets are the cheapest.
Oh, so don't go somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, don't go in the off-season, no. And don't go just soon after the season is over, the prices crash. So aim for those.
Oh, that's a good tip. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's how it is. And the season depends on your destination. It could be if you are going to Goa, then you're going at I don't know which month. If you are going to, it depends where you're going, and what you're going there for. So if you're going to ski in Switzerland or wherever it is, then you go during winter. And then you plan it out. And sometimes, if you have booked your tickets earlier, then you can get them slightly cheaper than if you book them at the end of the, the brink of the moment.
And if you want to ski in Switzerland and you're on a budget, just go to Ski Dubai.
Yeah, good. Exactly. Yeah, there are solutions. You're in the Emirates. Exactly. There's everything here. You want to travel? Go to Global Village. You will eat the cuisine. You will shop those products from there.
The entry ticket is cheaper than a flight ticket.
The entry ticket is cheaper, and also you will meet the authentic, original people of that country. As the salespeople. Yeah, most of the booths.
Yeah, exactly.
So there you go.
Global Village.
Yeah, Global Village.
On a more serious note, I feel like, as you mentioned with the staycations, like you can also build status in certain websites or hotels by doing that, right?
Yes.
So if you're responsible with a credit card, I'm not telling you to get a credit card, but if you're responsible enough to pay it off at the end of every month and you're sensible, you can really use credit cards to your advantage.
Yeah, right? But only if.
Yes. So I use my credit card for every little tiny transaction, even if it's 1 dirham karak, which is rare these days. For 1 dirham karak, I will pay it with the card because the points, no matter how big or small, it all adds up eventually.
Yes.
So then, let's say you're a bougie girl. You will buy the flight ticket in economy, and then you can bump it up with points, so you can get upgraded to the next class.
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Or if you're feeling a little bit broke, which also happens to me sometimes, you'll buy the ticket in economy. And then if you're at a certain status because of you using the credit cards, because they usually, if you have a credit card, they jump you. You don't start at, for example, silver. You'll be jumped up to gold or platinum membership, depending on the company or the airline. So then even if you are sat in economy, you're most likely to get upgraded if it's full. So I just feel like it's important to decide what you want. So if you want flight tickets to be cheaper because you know you're going to fly a lot, then get a credit card with an airline. Or you get a credit card that gets you points. Then you can utilize the points in either hotels or airlines. Yes. And then you could also use points. Let's say you're not somebody who likes to travel because, you know, then you could just get a credit card that gives you points to help you even pay your bills. Because if you're saving on your bills, then you can save towards your travel.
Yes.
Or anything else that you would like to do because you're saving money on the day-to-day things.
Yes.
So even if you don't want to get a travel credit card, you don't have to do that. You could get a credit card that will pay your groceries, pay your bills, and then you can save up. So this is actually not just for trips, but I think you can be smart with your money because even with a tiny amount, you can go a really, really long way if you just research correctly.
Yes, and discipline again.
Exactly. And there's so many products out there.
Disciplined way of approaching to use your money so that you can save more and think smart and book smart.
Think smart, book smart. Exactly. Like even with booking.com, all the staycations that we like to do, that's where I was doing it mostly. And then I don't know how many we have done now, but I reached a certain level that now I'll always get a really good discount
and
no matter any time of year.
And an upgrade. Yeah.
So find a site that will give you benefits the more you do something.
Yes, yes.
As well, you know. Okay, next question.
Sure.
What do you call it? Ponchu?
Mucho.
Bucho. Okay, so I want to make more time for self-care this year, but I struggle to fit it into my busy life. How can I make this a priority?
Thank heavens you have thought of self-care because people don't normally do that. So self-care and implementing it depends entirely on you. And what self-care needs, just like anything else that you do for yourself or for anybody else, is consistency. Make sure you're consistent in your self-care. Otherwise, it's pointless just to look after yourself over, say, like a skin regimen or a diet or nutrition or something of that sort. Consistency counts, and it truly does matter. So whatever you do, make sure you will be able to continue doing it for a long, long period of time. Even if you already have got your good results, don't slack.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's how I see it.
I think the first most important question to that is, what is your definition of self-care?
Yeah, exactly. So it's a broad thing.
Exactly.
But whatever it is, it needs discipline.
It does need discipline.
Yeah.
So, you know, as you mentioned, sometimes self-care could literally be just sitting completely alone. Or, you know, like, for example, if you're an introvert, and you've been out you've been doing what you need to do. So you go to work and let's say it's social because you're physically around other people and it drains you. So your self-care could literally be just sat on your own in your home and just recharging your social battery again before doing that. So I think the most important question is to ask yourself what the self-care is.
Yeah.
Right? So it doesn't have, self-care doesn't have to be expensive.
It has to be something feasible.
Exactly. You know, like for me personally, self-care is recharging my social battery by staying home and just taking a moment to enjoy the house.
Yeah.
But then if I want to do more self-care, sometimes it's calling you as well. You know, we have a good chat.
It's therapeutic.
You were not feeling well recently.
It is therapeutic, yes.
We were on the phone for a couple, I think it was a solid like 30 minutes when I was at work.
Yeah.
You know, you were like, oh, I already feel so much better just being on the phone with you. Yeah. So I think self-care is, it could be in the form of anything, but to find out what you need in that moment.
Yes.
You know?
Exactly.
So
it's different.
Is also self-awareness of what you need. And if you're struggling to fit it into your busy life, schedule it into your busy life. So
yeah, and in small doses.
Yeah, exactly.
And later on, it will grow.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you know?
Small doses. It could be 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Just 5 minutes.
Just take a moment
but
for
focus,
yourself.
Focus on yourself.
And the last part of the question of how you can make this a priority, I like to have everything on a calendar. So when I was struggling to prioritize working out, for example, and I'm still struggling to prioritize physically going to the gym and doing the workout plan that I was given, I've scheduled it in for the week. So I was told the first week only do it once a week, the second week to do it 2 times a week, the third week you have to hit 3 times a week. So I just looked at my roster that changes every 2 days, and I scheduled in the time that I have to go, and I'm treating it as if it's an appointment. So
yes.
maybe even prioritizing your self-care in a calendar
would help you,
Exactly.
be directional.
And if other people have access to your calendar, they can see, you're busy at that time, they should leave you alone.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yes.
Exactly. All right. Last 2 questions. How do I stay positive and motivated when things don't go as planned?
Things don't go as planned, and how to remain motivated, I believe, is by accepting that it won't be like that all the time. Accept that there will be glitches here and there, and you should be aware and ready to be able to rectify the situation and compensate. That's the only shortcut I can think of, because in anything that you do in life, it won't always go smooth. Be prepared, be aware, so you know how to deal with it at that particular moment. Now, it doesn't matter what it is, but just being prepared, 3/4 of your problem are solved.
Exactly.
Problem is solved.
For me, I feel like in this moment, it doesn't make sense that things haven't gone the way that you expected them to go. And if you think about any moment in your life, life makes more sense when you look at it backwards based on the memories that you've built. So in this moment now, remember when I was like 17, 18, and I got rejected from an airline to be a pilot, and I thought it was the end of the universe.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
I thought,
But Allah has better plans for everybody.
I thought it was literally the end of everything. And I'm sharing from a personal story because I'm a storyteller. You know, but in that moment, I felt like it was the end. And you saw how down I was. And at the time, we didn't know about the air traffic program. Or I didn't
Not
apply
yet.
for it yet.
Not yet. No.
So we felt, khalas, this is the last thing I applied for. I didn't get it. Now what am I going to do with my life, right? And then now, 11 years later, more than that, we're looking back, right? I'm not a pilot, but I'm controlling airplanes in the sky and working thousands a day.
Alhamdulillah.
I'm also an instructor now, so I'm teaching the next generation to do the same. And you know, I have my great female student, Habibti, she is. I love teaching her.
Yes.
Yeah. And then also, alhamdulillah, this year or in the last year, I got the examiner course.
Yes.
So now I can examine people to make sure the standard of the facility is at a certain place.
Level, yeah.
So in that moment, it didn't make sense. But now looking back, it makes sense. So just power through so you have the opportunity to look back on what is going to unfold. I think that.
Yeah, and sharpen yourself.
Exactly. And if you're feeling negative emotions about things not going that way, feel those feelings and don't suppress it, because it's going to come back and bite you later. So if you want to feel sad and hide in a dark room and cry it out, do it. Because what I did is I didn't know how to emote and I didn't know how to feel my feelings when I was that young. Now, if I'm feeling sad, you've seen me in the middle of the restaurant, you're like, stop crying. I'm like, I should feel my feelings.
I know.
So I just feel like if you are feeling those negative emotions, to just feel them, because it's okay if it didn't go as planned, but there is the greatest planner of all who's planning.
Definitely.
So much better
There is. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, just hang in there.
Final question. I know you're excited because you want to eat. Okay, ready?
Yes.
I feel this question is targeted more towards you. So I am a new mother, not that you're a new mother, and I'm feeling overwhelmed and anxious all the time. What tips do you have for new mothers?
Oh, that's an interesting one. New mothers. Okay, it takes me back to when Joe was a little baby. Yeah. Okay. New mothers, what I would suggest is that since you will be having, you won't be having a schedule. Your schedule revolves around your baby. So for you to get rest when the baby is resting, which might be in tiny spurts depending on how cranky or how good your baby is. It could be just maybe every 20 minutes, you get your baby to be sleeping for 20 minutes. Even that is fine. grab those 20 minutes. Rest. Don't jump around doing things. Why? Because the baby is sleeping. No, rest when the baby is sleeping. When the baby is awake, tend to the baby, because normally when they are satisfied with food and they've had their food and they are comfortable and they've changed their nappies and they are fresh, they keep quiet for a while. That's when you work. And this concept is not taken by the mamas of today, because they believe that, oh, now the baby is sleeping, I can do, squeeze in all that I have to do now so that when the baby is awake, I can tend to the baby. Well, think again and try it out. I'm not saying it works 100% for everybody, but try it out, and it normally does. The percentage of babies it works with and the mamas who adjust well with it, it works.
So this is for a new mother. And out of curiosity, as the baby continues to grow, right, can you give us like a summary of the different phases, right? So you have a newborn, then you have a toddler, then teenager, and then adult. And I feel like you have to deal with so many phases. So what would be your advice for different phases and how to adapt as a mother?
Adapt, change as your baby changes, because you'll get more time as the baby grows, because he will sleep much more and much better. There'll be a regular pattern in his life. And based on that pattern, you work around that and accommodate whatever you can. If you can get help, that's brilliant, a help that you trust. And make sure that the baby is fine when you are not around it, because not everyone can sit around the baby 24/7 or however put it. But everything, what I believe and what I used to do was everything revolved around my babies. And you have to adjust accordingly. Thankfully, I had my mom to be helping me to look after the girls. But that's how it is. You have to adjust. Even though there's somebody to help you look after, you are still the core. You are the mother. And you have to be there to feed them, to do this and that and everything else that is required. And it constantly changes because the child is growing. And you adjust accordingly. And you learn how to adjust. That's the best thing Allah has given us.
Yeah, adaptability.
Adaptability, especially as a mother.
And what was it? I knew I was a good teenager, but how did you deal with the teenage years?
Teenage years, well, of course, like I always say, if you expect something, then you're kind of more or less ready to deal with it. So if you expect a little bit of resistance with everything that you say or deal with, or have to decide every time there's resistance, well, learn to live with it, and slowly you will find ways of, finding the good days that you can spend with your teenagers, because not every day will be bad. There will be good and bad. So try and stretch those good ones and see where you can tap into them. And those bad ones, well, you learn how to deal with them. That's life, huh? You evolve with them, with your teenagers, or you try and befriend them, and sometimes it backfires and sometimes it works, and it depends what kind of a kid you have.
That's true. You have to be different with all three of us.
All three of you.
I think that's an important thing to highlight.
Yeah, exactly. That every child.
The father are the same doesn't mean the kids will turn out the same.
No, not at all. In fact, wait for each one. It's a character in itself. Each child is different.
Exactly.
And every time that you approach in dealing with one child, try not to compare, which is very difficult. At the same time, try not to impose the same, or rather guide the child in the same way that you did with the previous child or the child that's about to come. Okay. Try not to, because you assess your child and learn to get used to them, and then you go accordingly. You adjust again.
I just like all these answers because you keep telling me to have a grandchild for you. So I'm like, give me all the tips and share them with everyone.
I'm telling you, let me give you this final tip. No matter how many tips you have, no matter how many baby care, baby this, baby that, nowadays they have prenatal, postnatal, antenatal, nothing works.
Nothing works.
The child comes, that's when a mother is born, not a child is born.
Oh, wow.
Yes, a child is not born. A mother is born when a baby is born. That's it. Khalas, mic drop.
That was excellent. This is the energy I needed from the beginning of the first episode.
I know.
I should just starve you and get you mad. But yeah, thank you for sharing, Mom. And thank you for taking the time to do this podcast with me. And it's not my show, it's your show. It's our show.
Ours. Let's put
together.
it that way. Yeah, our show.
Yeah, exactly. So
And if it works, it doesn't work, well,
we'll see where
we're
it goes.
trying. That's what we do in life. You
exactly.
try.
To be honest, we both had a really good time shooting Press Pause with Jouhayna.
Yes.
So that we just decided, you know what? Let's just start our own thing and see where it takes us. It's purely because we had a good time and we're having fun. So why not?
Yeah, and we hope that the crowd also has fun, or the fans, or the audience, as you want to put it.
Even if there's one view and one person learns one thing.
Yeah, alhamdulillah rabbil alamin.
That's all we're looking for. Stay tuned for next week. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And if you have any questions you'd like to send us, you can send it on info@𝐬𝐻𝐫𝐞𝐿 and I'll make sure I write it at the bottom because I know the spelling of my name is a little tricky.